Hello there and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So today's topic is brought to you by the rabbit trail that my son went down on Instagram Reels. So we have a healthy relationship with conspiracy theories. We do not subscribe to all of them. Some of them are a little out there, right? But my whole premise for it is we don't really know one way or another. So why could this conspiracy theory not be probable, right? I talked about this on a previous episode too, where we talked about the moon landing, right? Or whether the earth is round or flat, right? Like, I don't know for sure either way. So I'm open to another perspective of this, right? And so my son has gone down this rabbit hole of Instagram Reels and conspiracy theories, and he sends me about 7 of them a day, kid you not. And I laugh because a lot of them I've already heard before, or I'm familiar with, or we've talked about, right? Whatever. Some of them are like really out there, and I just can't get a handle on those. But I bring this all up because I remember a conversation with one of my mentors one time. And he and I love to dive into these conspiracy theories because some of them are pretty probable, right? And so he said, okay, how do you balance knowing that some of these conspiracy theories could be true, but not running around with a tinfoil hat on, right? Because if you'll get that reference if you were born in the if you were born in the 70s or the 80s, right? Like the crazy conspiracy theory people would make a hat out of tinfoil to protect their brain from being read by like aliens or outer space or whatever, right? And he said, so how do you balance going on with your life, not wearing a tinfoil hat, but also understanding that we're not being told the whole truth through the media? And I thought, well, that's a really interesting question. I said, I love it. I said, here's the thing. I can be open to those conversations, right? I'm open to the conversations about the conspiracy theories. I'm open to the opposite of a conspiracy theory, right? Like whatever it is. I'm open to all sides because the truth is I don't honestly know any of these things. So what keeps me from going down that crazy rabbit hole and putting on a tinfoil hat and being like screaming that the world is ending? The truth is, I don't care that much. And I don't mean I don't care like I'm not interested in the world around me and the politics and all that stuff. I'm going to live my day to day the best that I can and control the things that I can control without living in fear. And I think that's the biggest thing here is that when someone does subscribe to either the mainstream news where like the world is going to die regularly, right? Like it's very fear-based, the news media. Whether you believe that or not, it is subscribed in fear-based, right? Conspiracy theories on some level are also fear-based, but at the opposite extreme. And so you have this line of what is going on in the world, right? And on one extreme we have, maybe the news media, and the other extreme we have these conspiracy theories, but it's all along the same line, but they're all communicating through fear, right? You've got to be afraid that the world is going to be end. You've got to be afraid of this, and you've got to be afraid of that. And I've found that living in fear is just exhausting. It is just tiresome. And so I don't subscribe to a fear-based model. And when I notice that I'm living or I'm responding in a fear-based model, I check myself. I don't always notice it, but I definitely check myself, right? And so would I love to have my own micro farm and grow everything and milk my own cow and all the things? Yes. in my current day right now, that is probably not feasible, right? I don't have space for a cow. And so you've got to just balance kind of the crazy, right? Like, I do the best that I can with what I know, and I know that that's enough, right? Would I love to do raw milk? Yeah, that's probably something I'll explore down the road. Do I grow all of my own food? No, I do grow a lot of my own vegetables, some fruit, a lot of vegetables, and I can that and I save it and I do the best that I can. The fear thing comes up when you feel like you're never doing enough. And right, like I remember my girlfriend said this to me one time, and she was like, well, you can go down the rabbit hole on that and it's never enough. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, you can do the organic things and you can, not eat sugar, and you can do this and you can do that. There could be a litany of things that you could subscribe to make sure that you live longer. Or you could just do the best that you can. And doing the best that I can means I don't subscribe to the fear-based model. I'm entertained by them, some of them. Some of them are just disgusting and I won't even go there. But some of them are entertaining in that you're like, oh, okay, this could be true, right? But am I going to let it dictate how I live my life? No. And that's the option that we all have, right? Because we are bombarded with all of these different things regularly, you are constantly getting somebody else's biased. I don't care. There is no such thing as an unbiased news source ever, okay? Because you're getting the event through someone else's lens. That in itself is biased, right? So when it comes to these things, how do you live in more of a love-based versus fear-based? How do you not subscribe to the crazy? And one, it's about tuning into yourself, right? Like, what can you feasibly do, right? Tuning in, what is it you even want to do? Do you want to eat organic? Do you want to not eat organic? Do you want to grow your own vegetables, right? Like, what is it that you really want? And then two, like, what can you honestly commit to? Because a lot of the times we get this, right? Like, I remember, this is right along the same line. I remember watching a documentary on Netflix about, what was it? The food that's in our meat, something like that, right? And I was like, that's it. I'm vegetarian, vegan, like never eating meat again. I couldn't fully subscribe to it. And so I just made different choices with the food that I eat. I don't get any lab-grown chicken. I can't even believe that's a thing, right? And so, like, I don't typically eat chicken out anywhere else because I don't know if it's lab-grown. But when I feed my family, I make sure that it's a higher quality meat. There is a company that we also use for our meat delivery that does, I totally forgot the word for it. Whatever, it's grass-fed, grass-finished, all the things, right? Like, it's very, very natural, is the meat that they come from. And regenerative farming, that's what it is. It's a regenerative farm in Georgia. And I try to get a good portion of our meat from there, but my family also balks at some of it because it looks different, right? And I'm like, it's healthier for you. But I just have to do the best that I can. And that's the thing, is like, I'm doing the best that I can and I'm okay with it. It's when you never feel like you're doing good enough that it starts to become a fear-based thing. And so I make the decisions based off the fact that I love myself and I love my kids, not that I have to prove something. I hope you're following this, because this seems to be a little bit of my own rabbit trail that I'm going on. But nevertheless, when it comes to what you believe, you ultimately have a choice in the thing that you believe. And your thoughts and your actions and your life are thus dictated by the things that you believe. So if your life doesn't look like you want it to, you've got to go back and check and see what are you subscribing to? Are you doing things out of fear-based in the sense that someone's going to yell at you, or this is also fear-based, that you're not good enough, that you've got to do more? Those are both fear-based. I've hung out in the it's not good enough for a very long time, and so I operate differently as much as possible. So when I go to exercise now, let me rephrase that. When I exercise, exercise for me has always been because I want to be healthy. It's never been because I don't love the way my body looks. I've always had a pretty good relationship with exercise. However, other things around the house, not necessarily a great relationship with, right? Like I remember one morning I was sitting by my fireplace and I was like, you know what? I should open the curtains on my husband's side of the bed so he doesn't yell at me. Not that my husband yells at me, but like there was one morning that he fussed and he was like, oh, you open your curtains, but you don't open my curtains, right? And it just stuck with me and I was like, I'm going to do this so he doesn't fuss. Doesn't say anything, right? And I caught myself and I was like, ooh, no, let's not do it because of that. Let's do it because I love my husband, not because I think he's going to fuss at me. And so that became the standard of the things that I do, right? Like I don't clean my house because I think someone's going to yell at me and I want to make sure that I have someone else's approval. I clean my house because I love my house. And I love having a clean house. I love the way it smells and it's just calming to me, right? Same sort, like choosing to do something out of love is going to get you so much farther than choosing to do it out of fear. So balancing the crazy is just deciding why you're doing the thing. Why do you believe the thing? Why are you doing it? Why do you believe it? Is it fear-based or is it love-based? Because that's going to have very different results too. So I'm not going to apologize for this rabbit trail. It was enjoyable. I liked chatting about it. If you do have Instagram, I would love if you would follow me, Stephanie Snyder, Ph.D. You can always check out my website as well, stephaniesnyderphd.com. And this is also going up on the YouTube channel. So if you are on YouTube, you can catch the video of this as well. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye, love.